told that I was going to be sick for the rest of my life and on cytotoxic drugs with a lot of really nasty side effects for the rest of my life was devastating. It's a really hopeless situation to be in because you're told that there is nothing you can do to stop this disease process, to slow it down, and your only alternative is big pharma, basically, pharmaceuticals, cytotoxic drugs. So the information I'm going to be presenting in this video is years of my own research as a patient. I'm not claiming to be a doctor or a healthcare professional of any kind. This is just a collection of basically the research that I've done as a patient myself for years. And I suffered for years in a horrible lupus flare because I was so afraid of these cytotoxic drugs. It took a very long time for me to give in and take these medications. So let's talk about it. What actually causes autoimmune disease? A couple of things to me that are very, very obvious. So, is the immune system really making a mistake? I think I've mentioned this before, but if you're being exposed constantly to environmental pollution and to pesticides, we are spraying some nasty chemicals in this country that are illegal in many other countries on our food. So when a toxin, something man-made, carcinogenic, or a man-made chemical is getting into your bloodstream, is getting into your body, it makes perfect sense that your immune system is going to react. Now, why this happens to some of us and not all of us here in America, I have a few theories on that. There's actually 50 million Americans that have some type of autoimmune disease. That's a big number. So, some of the theories I have, first of all, a lot of people that actually have every symptom of autoimmune disease are not getting diagnosed. And I've seen a lot of comments on my channel in regards to two of the videos that I uploaded. One of them was how to get a diagnosis, and one was my lupus story. So a lot of you guys were commenting that all your labs were positive, that you had every symptom and you still weren't getting a diagnosis. So obviously it's probably even a much higher number than that. And I wonder if the reason that you're not getting a diagnosis is to kind of suppress the actual number of people that really are having this dysfunction in their immune system. Well, dysfunction. Again, it makes perfect sense that your immune system is going to react to man-made chemicals that are going to harm your body. That's what the immune system is supposed to do. I don't think it's making a mistake. And I've heard there's a few theories on what causes autoimmune disease, and there's some clinical studies that have clearly shown some promising information in regards to what is actually causing this. So one of the theories I've heard is that this is genetic and there's a particular gene that makes people more susceptible to autoimmune disease. And I don't really believe that. I just don't. Maybe there's some data to substantiate this. Personally, I don't think that's the thing, because I noticed it seems to run in my family, but if I think about it, everyone in my family pretty much seems to be, especially those afflicted with these autoimmune diseases, seems to be sensitive to medication. And at different levels. Like, I am probably the most sensitive to medications out of all of my family members, but I have the most severe autoimmune disease out of all of my family members. So I think that we're just more sensitive to chemicals, to man-made chemicals, some of us than others. That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion in all the research that I've done. There's also a lot of research pointing to a number of things. So one was gut issues, toxins, obviously, pesticides, definitely pesticides, and environmental pollution. Stress, of course, if you've had a lot of things coming at you at once at some particular point in your life, and that's when you started having autoimmune disease, that does make sense. Having unknown food allergies or sensitivities. So I think the other one was plastics. So a lot, especially as women, a lot of us, most of our personal care products and our cosmetics are packaged in plastic, and that is going to leach into the product that you're using. So I don't care how organic, all natural, or clean a product is claiming to be, if it is packaged in plastic, it is not good for you. Okay, and don't take my word for it, guys. Look this information up yourselves. There are a lot of physicians, okay, medical doctors that are coming forward and talking about this, and they are either ignored, shunned, silenced, or told to stop investigating. And I don't care if you guys think I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist. This is real information. A lot of these doctors have come forward. All you have to do is do a simple search on YouTube and you can find them. So, a number of doctors. The American Medical Association owns ICD-10. They make a lot of money off this. ICD-10 are diagnosis codes, okay? And it's crazy to me. So I think the most important thing here is follow the money. If you really want the truth, follow the money. Who is profiting off us being chronically sick? Because if we were to heal and get better naturally, certain industries wouldn't benefit from it, and they're making millions, billions of dollars off of us being chronically sick. And when I look at even just the anti-rejection drugs, I mentioned this on my TikTok account in case some of you guys are here from TikTok watching this. There's more autoimmune disease patients than there are people that have received donor organs. So it just makes sense, like a lot more. So it just makes sense that there's more of us on these anti-rejection drugs than there are people with donor organs who have to take them. That's crazy. They're making a lot of money off of us being on cytotoxic drugs that have horrible side effects. Now, there was a point, I think between the 1950s and the 1970s, where there was a steady incline, a steady increase of patients with autoimmune disease that were coming up positive for things like lupus, MS, RA, all of these. And there is a correlation between that year and being the same year that they started heavily using all these pesticides and chemicals. And of course, more industrialization causing more environmental pollution. So, when you think about 70 to 80% of the immune system is in the gut, you really have to think about what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, and that this obviously could most certainly be something that is I don't want to say, see, you have to be careful what you say. It's crazy. Something that could be making your autoimmune disease worse, I'll say, is the pesticides, the environmental toxins that are in our food supply. So you have to be very careful about what you're eating. I think that's one of the most important things. And the Western diet is so poor. We are not getting the nutrients that we need from our food supply at this point in this country. We're not. If we were not chronically ill, again, a lot of these industries would not be profiting off of us. They would lose a lot of money. If you weren't chronically sick, there wouldn't be many people in these specialist waiting rooms, now would there? Think about it. Think about who's benefiting from this. This is why I'm saying if you want the truth, follow the money. In most situations, that's all you have to do. Follow the money. Through all of my research, what I have found to be possibly a good diet for people with autoimmune disease is good sources of protein that are grass-fed, free range, no hormones, no antibiotics, no steroids. You have to be very careful where you get your meat. Low mercury fish, fruits and vegetables. Now, this is a tricky one because of the pesticide problem. It's going to be really hard to avoid them even when they claim to be organic. So my best advice here is there's a couple of different ways that you can get as much of the pesticides off the fruit or vegetables before you eat them. That's my best advice there, especially with things just getting more and more expensive at the grocery store. And anyway, you buy organic and you think it doesn't have pesticides, but 9 times out of 10. No processed foods, no sugar, lay off the caffeine. Only drink things like water. If you don't like water, I suggest you start, and sparkling water that's naturally flavored with no added sugar. The other thing I think you could benefit from is doing an elimination diet. Now, keeping a food journal every day, I know this is annoying, and keeping track of how you feel throughout the day, your bowel movements, is anything causing you diarrhea after you eat it, making you nauseous, making you tired, anything like that. Keep a food diary, like write down what time you ate that food so that you know. And then from there, take the things, over like a week or maybe 2 weeks, take the foods that you notice you're consistently having a negative reaction to and eliminate those foods and see if you feel better. The other thing is when you get up in the morning, you are breaking a fast. So you need to do this in the most effective way possible. And in this Western diet, a lot of the foods that we think are healthy or are a good thing to eat when we wake up in the morning are more than likely not. So I would look up, just do some research on what is the healthiest way to break a fast, because during sleep, that's what you're doing. You're fasting. So bone broth is a good one. Fermented foods are a good one, like kimchi, like sauerkraut. I know these are not things you would think to eat in the morning. Certainly, you probably don't want to eat in the morning, but you're going to have to more than likely get used to eating completely differently, because obviously what we're doing isn't working now, is it? This is really, in my years of research, what I have found, that us being chronically sick benefits certain industries, and it does not behoove them to tell us anything other than this hopeless message that we will always be sick and we will always be forced to take cytotoxic medications that come with cancer warning labels and a laundry list of nasty, disgusting side effects that just cause us to have a terrible quality of life. It just makes sense. So do your own research. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Look it up for yourself. I'm sure you'll find the same thing that I spent years looking up and doing research on. Just to prove a point, I simply Googled correlation between pesticide use in the US and rise in autoimmune disease. So the first thing that came up was this. While some research associates immune system disorders with the use of general pesticides, organochlorine pesticide use is commonly linked to the worsening effects of autoimmune diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And then under where it says people also ask, what is causing the rise in autoimmune diseases? It says, while it's true that autoimmune diseases have a genetic component, experts say genetics are insufficient to explain the rise in ANA and autoimmunity. Over the years, environmental exposures, including pollutants, medications, dietary components, viral infections, and stress, have been linked to autoimmunity. Under that, what chemicals are linked to autoimmune disease? These chemicals are classified as endocrine disrupting chemicals and include PCBs, PBBs, BPA, and DDT. A lot of these are found in like plastics. The next one is, can environmental factors cause autoimmune disease? 70% due to environmental toxins, including toxic chemicals, dietary component, gut issues, and infections. What countries have the highest incidence of autoimmune disease? No surprise, it's the United States and the UK. And the list goes on and on and on. So, Google it for yourself. And be very careful of any food sensitivities. You can go to an immunologist and get an allergy test to see if you're allergic to any foods, but that doesn't really tell you if you are sensitive to any foods. It could be a fruit, it could be seriously. So something you might definitely, this is hard for me because I come from a very Italian family. This is really hard, but something I would definitely cut out is gluten. I know, believe me. But yeah, I would more than likely, if you have autoimmune disease, you need to cut out gluten. Cut out dairy too. I just wanted to add this. And a lot of people with cystic acne, or really any type of acne issues going on, a lot of people have had success with their acne, just completely clearing it up, just cutting out those two things, gluten and dairy. So the last thing I want to tell you guys is I found this doctor, Peter Osborne, Osborne, on YouTube. And he just basically validated everything that I found in my own research in regards to diet and what actually causes autoimmune disease. It was actually very validating, and it's always really nice to see a doctor come forward and say, no, this is actually the truth, and these people don't need to be on all these cytotoxic drugs. So he has a video titled the #1 most effective diet to eliminate autoimmune disease. So I highly suggest that you watch that video. I'm going to be trying this at this point. Honestly, it is definitely important to me to get off all these medications, especially the cytotoxic medications. I really never wanted to take them in the first place, and I just feel like I have such a poor quality of life taking them, and with all the nasty side effects. Of course, at the same time, I don't want to be feeling terrible and having my immune system just destroying me from the inside out, but these cytotoxic drugs are just too much. Now, I am not giving medical advice here. If you want medical advice, go see your doctor. I am just telling you as a lupus warrior myself. This is how I feel, and this is what I'm striving for, to get off these medications. So I am not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that this is my path, and I hope you'll continue to join me on this journey, and I'll keep documenting how that goes and where this path leads me. Stay strong, guys. I wish you all health, wealth, and abundance.